what you would classify this as a sci-fi horror?
I think it's kind of a blend of like fantasy, sci-fi, and a little bit of horror creature movie. It's, I really wanted to pay homage to all the like TV and movies that I watched growing up as a kid. So it's kind of a mishmash of all the genres that I love.
Yeah.
So what inspired you? Like what, because you just said TV shows and movies. So what specific TV shows and movies inspired you to make this film?
So I think just everything I watched growing up, and then even as a young adult, I would say, Star Trek. I'm seeing the Star Trek shirt, Star Wars, big Doctor Who fan. So a lot, shows that already kind of have this like blend of sci-fi and fantasy that I love. So it was, and it was like 90s stuff like Quantum Leap and stuff that's a little more campy today. I think, that was stuff that really imprinted on my brain, and I wanted to have that sort of aesthetic for this like TV world that we go into for part of it.
So as a filmmaker, do you want to stay in this specific genre, or do you want to broaden your horizon, or do you like just making films kind of like sci-fi, fantasy, horror?
Yeah, I love genre film. I mean, that's really what I want to stay in. I kind of love a lot of genres. I love sci-fi and fantasy. I love like action adventure, like Indiana Jones, those, classic like fun romps. I love those kind of films as well. And then anything that sort of blends genres, I think is also just really interesting to me. Whether it's like a sci-fi comedy or, horror comedy, things like that, where you can kind of play around with the conventions and create something new. So yeah, but I would consider myself more of a genre filmmaker than anything.
Cool.
A question came in, Kylie, for you. You got a fan base.
It follows. It's a great film. It's a little more on the scarier side that I'm a huge fan of. I'm like a baby horror fan movie, Get Out or A Quiet Place, anything that's like commercial enough for a lot of people to see, then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna like scream in the theater if a bunch of people have sat through this. But It Follows is a great film. I think it's a little more horror than I like to do as a filmmaker, but I certainly enjoy watching films like that.
Wow. So, of course, here's the big question. Big question for me. And how did you get Gina Torres?
Oh my goodness. It was very surprising that we got her. I'll say that. I wrote the short originally with her in mind for this character that I came up with, Celeste Skygood. And like I said, it was like kind of this mishmash of all these like heroes that I'd watched and different characters from TV, and I wanted to make like my own fake TV show within this world. And she's just someone that whenever I like am reading a book or something like that, I always like cast her in my head. She's one of my favorite actresses. I always, think of her when I'm reading something, or when I was writing this particular short, I thought of her as like the archetypal hero. And so when I started casting it, I was like, all right, we can find like a Gina Torres type. And then a friend of a friend knew some casting directors who were like, well, we'll send it out to her and see. And so we were able to get her the script along with the concept art that we had done, which actually ended up on this poster. And she loved the script and the artwork and the costume that we were building for her, and she was on board, which was really cool. And she also has a daughter, and so I think the mother-daughter story really resonated with her as well.
You really got a fan base, Callie. Another question just popped up.
Oh my goodness. Will we see more of Celeste? I would love to do something more with Celeste. I mean, I always wrote this as just a standalone short, but I think that I think I told like the story of Lizzie and her family, but I would love to do something more with just Celeste and her whole world. I did a lot of like background writing on her, and especially like for my production designer and my costume designer, they wanted to know like, well, what is this TV show? What is the world? What are the episodes like? Just so they could build the world that we see for 10 seconds, I wrote pages upon pages of
Yeah.
stuff for. So I think there is a lot more there, and I think it would be really cool to have sort of a hero character that is a female, to head up one of those shows. So it's something that I have other projects I'm working on as well, but it's always kind of in the back of my mind to expand on that universe a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this one. What is I gotta ask you, what's your favorite sci-fi film?
Oh, that's hard. I can't give you a favorite sci-fi
Give me a
film
three. Give me
of
a
ever, but I'll tell you in the last 10 years, Arrival is probably my favorite of the last like 10 years.
okay.
But I'm a big like, I love Aliens is also another one, and you know, I also am a big fan of just like big, like I said, like Star Trek, Star Wars, those big worlds. Anything that you get to world build in, I think is
Right.
something that I absolutely
Right.
love.
So are you more attracted to sci-fi movies that have like monsters in them? Or,
I
because
think,
like for me, I love sci-fi films that have androids. That's my thing.
yeah.
So
Oh,
I'm
cool.
noticing
Nice.
a theme for you, like the monster thing.
Yeah, I think, I mean, just as a filmmaker, it's really fun to do. It's really fun to like get to create a monster and like work with an artist to do, some of the renderings of it and the drawings beforehand. And then we had a great prosthetics artist who built the monster on Dispel. And it's a really fun challenge to know how to like work with someone to create that. And so I think that's definitely one of the things that I love. But I'm also into, I don't know, I have such a broad a broad taste. I love like big commercial blockbusters, and then I love things that are like much more cerebral as well. So I think like trying to pin down one thing it's tough. I just have to go project by project on what I'm doing next, to try and pin
Right.
that down.
And
Yeah.
did you design, like, did you have an artist sketch out what you were thinking, like what the monster should look like
Yeah,
before
we
you
had a
presented it to the artist?
we had a concept artist named Carla Ortiz, and she did drawings of Celeste, and she did drawings of the monster. And then from there, we took those concept drawings to our special effects makeup artist, Chelsea Hernandez, and she built the prosthetics and worked with our actress to fit everything and do tests before we actually shot. And the whole like application process was like an 8-hour process, which was insane
Wow.
for the final product. And our
Wow.
lovely actress Lee Sherman had just immense patience that I don't know if I could ever sit still for 8 hours with like stuff all
Oh,
over me, but she was a champ,
I
and she
would,
did it.
no, no, no way.
She had fun with it though, and she really sort of made the character her own, and she kept the fake teeth, and she wore them on Halloween and scared everybody with but yeah, it was a fun. That was the first time I had ever done sort of those sort of practical effects, so it was a great time doing that.
what other festivals have you had the opportunity to screen the film?
We actually started screening about a year ago, and our premiere was at the Science Fiction and Fantasy Short Film Festival in Seattle at the Museum of Pop Culture there.
Nice
That's
place.
where we premiered.
A lot of good stuff about those guys.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was it was sold out like both days, which was great to see. People in Seattle love their genre film. And then we played LA Shorts, we played Bronze Lens, Indie Shorts, we played Bushwick in New York. And we played about 20 festivals overall. I didn't get to go to all of them, but the last one that I went to was Other Worlds in Austin, and that was really fun. That was a fun festival to be at.
Oh, that's
Played
BB.
that one.
There's fun. BB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we played Film Quest as well, which is another really fun. It was my second year in a row at Film Quest, so
Yeah.
it was great to be there.